Welcome to Sports Central League Claim Show. So everyone's getting ready. Sports News. I'm here with Court Horchak. Say hi, Court.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me, Jacob.
All right, let's get right into it. The Cleveland Guardians won 9-4 against the Seattle Mariners.
The Knicks beat the Cavs 130-116.
Today, the Guardians will take on the Mariners today at 9:40 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
So what else do you want to talk about, Jacob?
So, I'm wondering, where will Lamar Jackson go if the Baltimore Ravens trade him?
Well, to me, it's looking like he's going to end up in Indianapolis. What do you think?
I'm going to say Indianapolis, or he might go somewhere else.
Yeah, I would like to see him in Indianapolis, though. I think it's a good fit for him. I think he'd play well there.
And where you stand on Aaron Rodgers going to New York if the Packers trade him?
Aaron Rodgers has just always been a Packers player for me, so it'll certainly be something new. But I think it's good for him. I'm looking forward to it. I kind of hope something like that happens.
Well, I think he might go to Green Bay or stay in Green Bay. But I think New York's going to be a good fit for him if he, goes there.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think right now, I don't think he's going to go back to Green Bay. But that's just what I think right now. So anything's possible. We'll have to see what happens.
And what about the list of players that Aaron Rodgers wants?
Well, I mean, I can't blame him as a football player. I mean, he has his guys. He knows he's good with them. He has the chemistry. So he wants those guys, and he thinks maybe his new team will be willing to get that for him.
One more thing. Will Odell Beckham Jr. return to Cleveland, or will he become a New York Jet along with Aaron Rodgers?
I do not think that there is a slim chance that Odell Beckham will return to Cleveland.
So
I think all the bridges have been burned with him.
So where do you think where do you go?
I think he's going to want to follow Aaron Rodgers. I mean, I couldn't blame him for doing that. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is a good quarterback. Odell Beckham wants to go where he knows he has a good arm.
And I think the Browns are going to do really well with, the trade they just did with Elijah Moore.
Yes.
And I think he is a good fit for Cleveland. And the Browns need a receiver really good and really fast. Because we really had Amari Cooper that fit with, a lot of people.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're right. The Cleveland Browns certainly do need a wide receiver. It's just I don't think Odell would want to play in Cleveland. I think obviously a lot of Clevelanders would want Odell to play for the Cleveland Browns, but I just don't see Odell coming back. I think all the bridges have been burned.
Do you think Tua will come back at football, or would he, stop playing after the two head injuries, and Lamar will replace him as a quarterback there?
I think Tua's going to come back. He's a tough kid. He's obviously showed that. He's come back in the game multiple times when he probably shouldn't have. And he's just played hard. And, I mean, I like him. He's good. He's a lefty quarterback. I think that's something that's pretty sweet.
Like, you don't see many left-handed quarterbacks in the NFL.
No. Yeah, that's honestly one of the first I can, fully say I've, actually watched. So I think it's super cool being a left-handed person myself.
And if Tua does really well, and you know how the NFL season went last year for him, two head injuries, not do well, and he had to stop for the rest of the season while his team was in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, that's got to be tough to lead a team all the way to the playoffs and then not be able to play. That's got to be hard on him. But I think that's just going to be fuel to the fire, and he's going to come back harder and stronger than ever.
And I heard there's a new NFL rule that players can wear the number 0 now.
Ooh, okay. So who do you think would look best wearing number 0?
On the Browns?
Sure, anywhere.
I have to go with Myles Garrett. Because he can, do well in that jersey number and start, pummeling quarterbacks.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like Myles Garrett, he likes those big numbers because he's a big guy. So I'd see it definitely. I'd be willing to bet that if the Cleveland Browns got a wide receiver, as we were talking about, like they needed, I bet that new wide receiver would wear number 0.
All right. So how well are the Steelers doing in free agency? Any big guys going in?
Yeah, there's a few guys that the Steelers have been signing I've been seeing recently. No, like, huge billboard names, but there's a lot of good guys coming over, and I honestly probably haven't been paying attention as much as I should have. So I don't know the exact names, but I know that they're signing a lot of players and that they're really excited about them. I'm looking forward to watching.
I know we got some billboard players. The Browns did.
The Browns, yes, the Browns have.
They got that strong safety from Kansas City and a D tackle from Minnesota. They're actually really good. That can help their defense out. And I think the new defensive coordinator, who the Browns hired, can actually make them really good at their jobs and positions.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, but yeah, I'm looking forward to the Browns. Browns certainly needed new coaching. That was obvious last year. And then what do you think Kevin Stefanski is going to call the plays this year?
I think he's going to hopefully rely on the offensive coordinator and the defense coordinator to, let him call the plays, let both of those coaches call the plays, and let him coach a little bit. And I think Stefanski is on his last life. If he doesn't, make the playoffs, he can lose his job as the Browns coach.
Yeah.
And I heard on the radio yesterday that Robert Kraft, the owner of the New England Patriots, said this might be Bill Belichick's last season coaching the Patriots if he doesn't make them into the playoffs. And now the Browns owner, if Stefanski gets fired, the Browns are looking into, after this season, after Stefanski's last life in Cleveland, after that, they're going to probably hire Bill Belichick back as a head coach.
Yeah, I think this is really just going to show that a lot of Bill Belichick's success came from Tom Brady. The Patriots have not had success really at all ever since Tom Brady went to Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
So, I think it's just it's really just showing that he really, obviously he has, 6 Super Bowls? He's a solid coach. But he's just, I don't know, maybe he's getting old, but he's not coaching as well as he should be.
Yeah.
So, I do think that is something that certainly could happen. And I agree with you. Stefanski is definitely on his last life. The Browns have a history of cutting and just, signing coaches, pretty, early. They've had over 30 coaches in the same time period. The Steelers have had, 3.
And Mike Tomlin is pretty good, but do you think his time in Pittsburgh might end if he has another losing season?
They actually didn't have a losing season. They had an overall above 500 record last year.
But I know he had a 500 record last year, over 500, but will he ever get fired if he struggles this season?
I don't think so. The Steelers and the Steelers fan base absolutely adore Mike Tomlin. He's a great coach, and he's obviously proved that. I hope he doesn't. I really do not think there's a chance that he will either.
And Stefanski's a good coach too, but he has to prove it still because he's under his, 4th year?
3rd or 4th. I think it's 4th.
Because he has now 1 playoff winning record, going 1-1 in the playoffs, having 1 regular season winning record,
and beating the Steelers in the playoffs.
Yes. And having 2 regular season losses as a coach. He's 1-2 as a regular season coach and 1-1 as a playoff coach. And I think the Browns have him one last chance to make him a playoff coach one last time if he wants to stay in Cleveland.
No, yeah, I certainly don't think Kevin Stefanski is I don't think he's a bad coach. I think he's a good coach. I wouldn't call him an amazing coach, on the level as some of the other coaches in the league. But I wouldn't call him a bad coach. If he can figure out the play calling, I think he's a good fit for Cleveland.
So, what is your top 10 quarterback list?
Ooh, of all time?
Yes.
Oh man, you didn't warn me you were gonna ask me that. I'm not so sure. Man.
Just start with current players, top 10.
Current players right now? Okay, that makes it a little easier. Patrick Mahomes.
Okay. I'm going to put him at number 1.
Yeah.
Because
you have to. He's just so good. It's stupid.
Jalen Hurts should be number 2 because he's a good quarterback under a good head coach, and he's getting coached well. He didn't get coached well last year, but when they brought him in, he got pretty much a good coach that can actually let him play and do really good. Even they brought in a good receiver.
Yeah, so I like Jalen Hurts. He's definitely top 5. But I can't put him at 2 because I just think that the Eagles team is just such an amazing team that really any quarterback could have success there. I mean, when Jalen Hurts got hurt, Gardner Minshew played. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And he didn't even play bad. He played pretty solid. I think it's just the weapons around him. He was able to just play well. So I like Jalen Hurts. He's an amazing quarterback, but I can't put him at 2. Definitely top 5, maybe top 3.
For Kenny Pickett, is he gonna do better than he did last year?
Yeah, I think he'll do a lot better this year. I even last year where he didn't have like an amazing season, I still loved watching him. I think he's a fun quarterback to watch. He's obviously has the relationship with Pittsburgh, which is nice. And I think he's going to come out and he's really just going to do a lot better this year. He's getting more familiarized with his weapons, his wide receivers. George Pickens, I mean, that was you can't lie, that was a really good draft pick.
Yeah. And don't mean to bash the Steelers, but do you think Kenny Pickett should have been a second-round quarterback? Because there was only one first-round quarterback, that was him.
Yeah.
And the rest were like 5th, 6th, 3rd rounders.
Yeah, I think I was watching the draft when this happened, and everyone was thinking the Steelers needed to take a quarterback. And there were other teams that needed a quarterback in that first round, and I think we were just thinking that we don't take him now, we're not getting him. And we just really wanted them that bad. So I think he probably could have gone early second round, but I do not remember if the Steelers had a draft pick there, and I know they just wanted to secure the pick, so I can't blame them for taking him in the first.
Like, what is the most important spot the Steelers need to focus on in the defense or offense? Like, should they draft somebody in the first round that can actually play really good? And they'll probably trade up for a guy that can do damage to the opposing offenses.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. I'm not really sure. Like, O-line can always be better. We did not have an amazing O-line last year, and I know I can't think of any names currently, but I know we've been picking up some offensive linemen in free agency. So
we can relate because we've been focused on the Browns' defense. We got D tackles, and we got that Sean safety from Kansas City that won 2 Super Bowls so far.
Yeah.
So I think it's more important that offense needs to be focused on in Pittsburgh, defense needs to be focused on in Cleveland.
Yeah, I mean, the Steelers' defense is just really time and time again just proven that they're great. They have a really solid defense. I mean, people were like, last year, people weren't so sure about their defense. I mean, they have had a really good defense before that. They weren't so sure about last year, but I feel like they kind of proved themselves. I mean, Minkah Fitzpatrick, he's one of the best safeties in the game right now.
Mm-hmm. I agree on that point of view, as Myles Garrett is one of the best defensive players in the whole NFL. And
same with TJ Watt.
Who's better, TJ Watt or Myles Garrett?
In my opinion, I have to say TJ Watt. Maybe there's a slight bias because of what's it called? Because I'm a Steelers fan. I'm not a Browns fan. But I just think that there's more. He's a bigger weapon. There's more he can do. I mean, Myles Garrett is really just the guy on the end of the line that goes in there and sacks the quarterback, and he's really good at it.
Mm-hmm.
But TJ Watt can do that, and sometimes he drops into coverage and stuff like that. I just think, overall, I have to go with TJ Watt.
And Myles Garrett, did TJ Watt lead the league in sacks last year?
Not last year, because he was hurt, remember? But he did win Defensive Player of the year before that.
So I think Myles Garrett was the leader in sacks?
I believe so, but I think if TJ Watt wasn't hurt all year, he certainly maybe Myles Garrett still would have beat him. Don't get me wrong, Myles Garrett is an amazing player, but he certainly would have been up there on that list.
Well, TJ Watt and Myles Garrett be future Hall of Famers for their teams.
Yeah.
And,
I think both of them will.
And thanks for coming, Court.
Oh yeah, of course. Thanks for having me, Jacob. I really had a good time talking to you today.
And make sure to subscribe to his TikTok.
Subscribe to my TikTok. Thanks for tuning in.